Hey. What's going down, everybody? It's your boy Big Drewski, and this is another edition of Space Bucket Growing with Drewski, with your host with the most, Big Drewski. You can find me on Instagram at DRUSKI702, or you can find us under the main profile at What Are We Doing _podcast. This week's episode is sponsored by Rain Man Space Bucket Micro Grows. Find them on Instagram at Mostly Safe and the number 8 on that. That's Mostly Safe 8. They've paired us up with a great space bucket, aka the Jabberwocky, and we have our own space bucket, but our show is sponsored by Rain Man Space Bucket Micro Grows. Make sure you follow them on Instagram, click the link to their Etsy store, and get yourself a nice space bucket. Now we're going to get into the show. So, this week's episode is also sponsored by Palm Pizza. If you are in Las Vegas, Nevada, you're on the east side of Las Vegas, head over or call. You can head over to 3411 East Charleston, or you can call 702-734-7256 and make sure you tell them Drewski sent you from the What Are We Doing podcast. All right. Now, let's get back into the growing thing. All right. Space bucket growing has taught me a lot, you guys. And it's a cool thing. It's something that I've really got my hands into. I really got to explore what, a grower goes through, especially if you're trying to grow something for yourself, trying to find a plant that's strain specific to you, and also trying to get things going to where you know the timing of all your plants. This is something that I got into a little late. Well, not late. I think everybody gets into growing cannabis on their own. And once they find out what they need and if it's going to be beneficial to them, then you start growing. So today we're going to talk about some of the advantages of actually growing your own cannabis here. One of the things that I've noticed when it comes to growing your own cannabis is that you don't realize how short 4 months is. It's not too bad of a time rate at all if you're growing your own cannabis and you're doing it in a way that it's going to be helping you out and growing your own stuff. One of those things that you really learn in those 4 months is either A, you have a green thumb, or B, you don't. So those are some of the things that you're going to get into. You're going to figure out if you can grow or if you can't. Now, this is a weed, and it kind of lives true to the name weed. Like, you can do a lot with this plant. It's very resistant. It's very resilient to a lot of the problems new growers, even advanced growers that are running into problems are going to run into. And with that, you'll learn what you can and can't do. Another thing that you're going to learn is growing techniques, from low stress training to topping to fimming. You get to learn what the plant's going to do, what it's not going to do, how it recovers, how it transforms itself if you take clones. There's a lot of things that you can learn from cannabis, and it's one of those things that I'm kind of glad that I've gotten into. Taking from this last grow, the Tinkerbell's Revenge grow that we did, I learned that I can go from a straight grow, which is great. That's from seed all the way to harvest, not doing nothing, no low stress training, some basic defoliation. And for those of y'all who don't know what defoliation is, it's the clipping of the bigger fan leaves, or what we call solar panels, so that they don't block light from potential bud sites to grow. And that's how you get all that larvae pop or smaller buds when you really want big, nice, full, dense nugs. You defoliate so you can get maximum light penetration. One of the other things that we get to doing on that too is you get to see like how this plant actually grows. It being a weed, it being something that, should be just resistant to almost everything but heat. As one of those things that we learned the past two grows. Heat is another thing that'll kill your plants, but we've learned from just going from seed straight to a full grow, your plant will grow as long as you follow the basic rules of growing. Make sure that when you're watering, you're not overwatering. Make sure you don't underwater, and to make sure that you're keeping your temperature right. You're keeping the environment safe from bugs or pests or anything like that. It's a lot of stuff you learn on this. Another thing that we got from going from seed straight to a harvest grow was that I learned that A, we can grow wheat. B, it's not that hard. It's just it's a waiting game. It's all about time. So that you have to be patient. Water every couple of days. That way you're not overwatering your plant. And if you're not overwatering your plants, you're doing great. I'd rather underwater than overwater. And why do I say that? Because I'd rather the plant take all the moisture from the soil that it can and shoot it up into the plant. And then that way you can make sure that you're getting the max potential out of all the nutrients and everything that you're feeding the plant as well. Because some of them soak right into that soil. And then when you nut feed and then you go to water feed, it just kind of replenishes what's already in the soil, which is pretty dope. Another thing that I've learned now that I've gone through a full grow is growing cannabis in a space bucket not only allows you for discrete indoor growing, it allows you to grow plants that are strain specific to you. That's the next part we're getting into. So from seed, you drop that seed. Whatever seed you drop is your choice. Your choice is something that this is going to pan out to be what you're going to be smoking here in the next few months. It's going to help your ailments. It's going to help your appetite. It's going to help your mood, whatever it helps. A lot of cancer patients, a lot of PTSD victims, all of these people can take advantage of growing their own cannabis and growing it inside of a space bucket. For me, it's kind of like a stress reliever time. You get a nice little 15, 20 minutes to yourself and the plant pretty much on a daily basis. If you're checking it out, you're seeing what the grow is like. You're defoliating, you're doing topping, you're doing low stress training and bending your plant up to get maximum light exposure. You're going to do certain things like that. And I'm not mad, but, you're going to find that you're going to start growing plants that are more for you and not for everybody. And when I say that, I mean, like Tinkerbell's Revenge, perfect plant and perfect example to give y'all. For me, the 70-30 sativa dominant hybrid with 22 to 25% THC, depending on if you've gotten it tested or not. But this is just kind of a general rate of how that plant goes. For me, the sativa was one of the best sativas I've smoked because it gives me a plant that stabilizes my headspace and allows me to work at the same time. So that was something that it was important to me, knowing what was coming in with this plant. Nothing. A whole lot of nothing. Still, there's not a lot of people who know too much about Tinkerbell's Revenge, the lineage, the parentage of the plants or anything like that. So, the one thing I found out though about this plant was it was just perfect for me. So I decided to keep it on deck, cut a clone, and we're going on that end. So that way I don't have to keep popping from seed, even though I've got a billion of those things. It's just something to keep me perpetually growing the plant so I know that I always have it on deck. Another thing is having multiple space buckets. I can grow more than one strain. So like right now, one space bucket is holding Tinkerbell's Revenge. Another space bucket is holding purple AK-47, P-47, purple grenade, whatever you want to call it. That's from Oasis Cultivation. So we've got another one going that route. So another one for me, nighttime, chill out weed, something to, mellow me out. That's one that you can take to the movies with you. That's a strain that you can take to, just kind of social events. You're sitting there at the house chilling. It's a strain that's really, really, really cool. Just kind of vibe with. So, from Oasis Cultivations, I've got seeds. We're growing purple AK-47. So AK-47 mixed with Granddaddy Purple. And we're putting that under the 235 watt space bucket. So it's a cool little thing that we're going to be doing on there. But the advantages of growing your own cannabis, especially in space buckets, you can grow 2 of your own strains, or you can grow one continuous strain and just keep it going from clone to veg to flower, clone, veg, flower, especially if you have a cloner on deck. So it's one of those cool things that you can get into. But I've learned that growing your own weed gives you the freedom to grow what you as a patient needs. And that's kind of one of the cooler things about growing in a space bucket. Not only the education that you get from growing your own cannabis, but the education that you get learning about the different profiles and strains of cannabis. Then you can start picking out and growing what you want to grow. Another thing is you're going to grow more than you expected. We've gone through a couple of projects ourselves with autos and with regular grows. And I can tell you that comparatively, it seems like the full 4-month grow versus the 2-month grow is going to be a little bit more beneficial for growers, especially, growing a couple of ounces at a time. That's a cool thing. Another cool thing about growing inside of a space bucket, you're almost guaranteed at least 2 ounces per plant if you do it right. And when I say when you do it right, I would suggest using LED lighting, or Cobb circuit on board LED lighting. That's one of the next things I would kind of want to get into when it comes to space bucket growing. I want to build a space bucket with Cobb lights, but using LED lighting changed my whole perspective of growing, especially going from a CFL grow to an LED grow. I saw differences right away, especially just in the initial structure of the plant itself. So go LED lighting, and throw the thing in your closet. Do some research, read up on low stress training, on topping and fimming, and see what's going to be best for you and your grow. But there's some of the things that just I've learned in growing out of a space bucket, just the educational purposes of it, giving me the freedom to grow cannabis without going, big tent, having to build something out of the way and all kinds of crazy stuff. You don't have to do all that crazy mess. You can just go ahead, get your grow on in a nice privatized area. And if you're really good and handy on growing with cannabis, and the tricks to maximize your space and everything like that, you're still going to get a good couple of ounces. You can keep it under a few feet tall, and you can be very discreet about it. And like I said earlier, for those of you with, high anxiety, PTSD, cancer patients, things of that nature, this is a way that you can always keep something on deck all the time. So cool things that I've learned about space bucket growing. The disadvantages that I have on space bucket growing are, well, one, it's the wait. 4 months. Some people are impatient, and 4 months just, ain't going to do it. And that's when you can get yourself into a perpetual grow if you have a cloner and a couple of space buckets, or a cloner and a tent, however you guys grow, you can get into perpetual growing and just keep your plant on deck. So it's one of those cool things that we've discovered while space bucket growing. So the other disadvantage, if you don't have a setup that allows you to clean the air, if you don't have any carbon filters or anything like that on your space bucket, you're going to find that that your grow room is going to smell up a little bit. But you know, that's one of those things that you get into when you're growing cannabis. What's going down? We're also on Instagram Live here, folks. We're podcasting live, and we're also going to Instagram Live. So if you're on, holla at us. If you're not, click on the link in the bio. Listen up. But let's get back into the show. Okay, so one of those other things that are a disadvantage, if you're doing a full grow, it's height. You're going to have to check out the space that you have and make sure that you can maintain a certain height. You can manipulate through low stress training and topping and fimming to give you more space to work with. Or, you know, if you're working with less space and you already know that, you can manipulate your plant to grow a certain way as well. So it's kind of the things that are disadvantages to just grow, time, and space and smell. But other than that, I don't really see any disadvantages to growing your own cannabis, especially saving as much money as you can on cannabis from dispensaries. I'm not saying don't go, especially for states that are legal, and you don't have to really worry about getting into trouble buying cannabis from, you know, legal dispensary, especially here, like in the state of Nevada. The funding from cannabis is supposed to go back into arts and education and schools and funding like that. So I definitely say go to dispensaries. But if you can, stick it to the man and grow your own space. Grow your own. And if you really want to keep it gangster, grow your own plant using the space bucket. So advantages, all. Disadvantages, none. Not if you like the smell of cannabis. I like walking into my office and having the room smell up like I just smoked, and it's just a growing plant, just dank smelling. That just showed me that the future is going to be awesome. So that's one of those things, man. You get in it a lot of people get in it just to see if they can grow weed, and they got this big, goal, desire, dream, whatever you have it, to grow these huge, massive plants like you see, you know, saying on social media and, you know, through other growers and stuff like that, pictures they send you, whatever, whatnot. You start seeing these trees and whatever, whatnot. Get out of that mentality. Think about 2 ounces. What is a plant going to look like on 2 ounces? And it's like maybe 12 branches, one main cola, 4 or 5 if you do low stress training. If you've topped your plant, you can get it down to like 4, and you can still grow 2 ounces plus. I'm not mad at that. You know what I mean? Just, you know, be wary of wait time when it comes to growing cannabis. But 4 months isn't that long. It really ain't, especially if you do a month in veg and then the rest in flower. Your first couple of months is pretty much going to be flower stretch, like your first month and a half. It's just a little slow stretch period that's going to happen. And then after that, it's bud growth. And that comes along really, really fast, especially when the trichome production starts happening. Those white hairs turn from white to orange. That happens real fast. And it progresses from the bottom part of your plant to the top part of your plant. That's another thing I learned growing. Your bud ripeness happens from bottom to top, not top to bottom. So if you're checking your plants, always go from bottom to top, because then you're going to see what's ripe, what's ripening, and how long it's going to take. Because Once my Tinkerbell got to the middle of the plant itself, it shot to the top real fast, and I thought I was going to have like at least another 2 weeks. But it didn't happen that way. It actually came out faster than normal, and then my cure time was 2 weeks, and it smoked great. So, other little things that you're just going to have to be wary of. Make sure you're not harvesting too early. Don't harvest a bunch of white-haired cannabis because it's not ripe. It's like a plant. It's like a watermelon or a cantaloupe or a tomato. The most, what is that? The most recognizable plant next to cannabis would be a tomato. So when tomatoes are ripe, you know it. And that's the perfect time to pick them. The perfect time to keep them out before you eat them. Just the same kind of thing. So, be wary of every plant that you're growing. Make sure if you have a guideline of how many weeks flowers should be, stick to that as a guideline, because it could be earlier, it could be later. Another thing that you're going to have to be wary of. But like I said, there's more advantages than disadvantages of growing cannabis. For me, it's more educational than anything. Of course, I get to smoke my education at the end of it, but you learn a lot about cannabis growing, especially if you hook up with people in your community too. That's another cool thing and another advantage of the cannabis growing community is that you have a platform like this, the Space Bucket Growing with Drewski platform, to where you can come and ask me questions about growing weed. Hit me up on What Are We Doing _podcast and slide my DM. Really ask me questions about growing. Ask me questions about growing cannabis in Space Buckets. Ask me about the Space Bucket itself. Because I have built one and then I have bought one, I can tell you the differences. I can tell you, even if you don't want to buy one, I can pretty much guide you through building your own Space Bucket if you wanted to. So you can, grow your own and get that hands-on experience. You can build your grow environment and know exactly what's in it and take pride in that. That's part of your cannabis grow experience is taking pride in the fact that you built the environment that it's going to be in, and then that you grew it in the environment that you built. That's another cool thing that I learned about growing cannabis myself, was that I'm way prouder of this achievement than any other achievement that I have, because I did the whole thing myself, except for the Jabberwocky and the cloner. But I built my own Space Bucket. So I appreciate what goes into building a Space Bucket and then growing inside of it. I'm not mad at it at all. I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad I'm learning so much about growing cannabis, and then I'm glad that I get to spread this knowledge on to you guys. So if you guys want to, hit me up with some questions, whatever you want to do, at What Are We Doing _podcast. You can find me on Instagram as well. My private page is at DRUSKI702. That's Drewski702. If you're in the Las Vegas, Nevada area, you can find me all around town. We're going to be doing reviews. Our new show, the Drewski and Stack Show, is coming really soon. So be prepared for that. Our last episode of the What Are We Doing podcast is going to be our Super Bowl episode. So Super Bowl Sunday, watch out. We're doing a pregame, halftime show, and a postgame show, all live from the boy Big Stack's house. We're going to be streaming live on the Spreaker podcast, and we're going to be doing streaming live via Instagram. So make sure you follow us on Super Bowl, because we're going to be watching the game right along with y'all, getting high as a kite, toasty in a bitch, and we're just going to be doing what we do. So make sure you guys tune in and, don't tap out. Make sure you guys are also following us, because we're going to be doing reviews on products like the one that we're showing on Instagram live right now. This is the Balance Body Oil from Coda Signature. So we've got two of those. We got Balance, and we have a Calm. They're body oils that have been infused with 20% or 20 milligrams of THC and 20 milligrams of CBD. So these are really, really good for pain relief. They're good for muscle ailments and things of that nature. Like I've been moving the past couple of days, been helping family move. And so to keep my head right, I've been using the Calm body oil. And then for my muscles, I've been using the Balance and use that on my arms, along my neckline, up in your temples, so it really soaks in. They're really, really good products. Speaking of another really good product that we're really actually going to do a final whole review on, thank God, is in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing a full review from Smoke Pipe. We're going to be doing full reviews from a couple of other products that we're going to get, our hands on to test. We're going to be testing and smoking original Fronto leaves. We're going to be testing and smoking Kong wraps out here based in Las Vegas, Nevada. And then we're going to be doing reviews like we should be doing tonight and going down to First Friday, going down to Culture and Cannabis, which is another First Friday event down here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're getting a lot of things in. I want to be doing dispensary reviews too, like Bloom Dispensary. Shout out to them for hooking me up with the Weed Bros OG Hybrid pre-roll. They're $10 a pop. I went to Bloom Decatur. It was a really nice experience. So I had in there, I forgot my bud tender's name, but she hooked me up, and she hooked my auntie up too. Got her a nice high CBD, low THC cannabis that helps her pain and her appetite. And then I got the Weed Bros OG at 23% THC. The only thing I don't like, this is the only thing I don't like about getting pre-rolls from any dispensary, is that they're loose. Like, they are not rolls like you would roll yourself. And so what I do is when I get pre-rolls from dispensaries, I just break them all the way down to the loose flower and then re-roll my own cannabis into a joint. That way I know it's going to smoke good, and that way I know it was rolled properly. But shout out to Bloom, Decatur. NLVO, Premium Flower. You can find them at nlvo.vegas. And this was the Weed Bros OG, which is a hybrid that we got. So you got that tested out. My man's over here clowning me on the IG Live, y'all. We on this podcast action. But we're going to be doing a lot of reviews here soon enough, man. We got everything going down here late. So, Weed Bros OG, another dispensary item, Balance and Calm body oils. I love using this stuff. The next thing I want to get into is medicated chapsticks and body oils and things of that nature. We tested a cannabis lotion, which was pretty dope. We got from Oregon. A friend out in Oregon sent that down to us. No, not Oregon, Colorado. Sorry. A friend out in Colorado sent us some cannabis lotion, and that was really, really good for pain relief, especially after you get done after a 2-day move, and for 2 days all you're just doing was moving. You didn't take no breaks except for to eat and then get right back to it. Body lotion gets you right and going. But y'all, this is the end of me ranting. I'm going to stay on Instagram Live here for a minute, so join me on IG Live at whatarewedoing_podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe this episode of the Space Bucket Growing with Drewski podcast on YouTube, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, Stitcher Podcast, whatever streaming platform that you're listening to this podcast on. Make sure you like and subscribe. to the podcast and like this episode and every other episode that you listen to, because we're going to go on really, really ham here, and we need y'all support. So make sure you guys click the link in the bio, hit that follow button or the subscribe button, make a profile, leave me a comment, and you know what I'm saying? We're going to keep this thing going. So thanks for listening, everybody. This is the advantages and disadvantages of growing in a Space Bucket Growing with Drewski. You can find us, like I said, on every social media platform that you can pretty much go to, and make sure you like and subscribe all these episodes. Thanks again, you guys. We'll be out.